The morning sun filtered through the glass walls of the downtown branch of Sterling National Bank, casting a golden glow over the polished marble floors and the sleek, modern furniture. The lobby was a study in understated luxury, designed to impress clients and reassure them that their finances were in the hands of consummate professionals. On this particular Monday, the bank was bustling with activity. Clients in tailored suits, staff moving briskly from desk to desk, and the low hum of conversations about mortgages, investments, and business deals. Doctor entered the scene. Simone Carter was a woman whose presence drew attention from everyone, even in the most exclusive of circles. Dressed in a simple but elegant blouse and slacks, with her hair pulled back and a baseball cap shading her eyes, she looked every bit the successful executive she was, though she preferred to keep a low profile. Simone was the CEO of a rapidly growing tech company, and she had chosen Sterling National as her personal and business bank for its reputation for discretion and service. Today, she had come to make a significant withdrawal for an upcoming investment, something she had done many times before, but this time, she decided to visit the branch in person rather than send her assistant. As she approached the counter, she offered a polite smile to the teller, a young man named Greg, who seemed momentarily distracted by a computer screen. "Good morning," Simone said, sliding her ID and account information across the counter. "Please allow me to withdraw money from my business account." Greg's expression changed from neutral to a little guarded as he gave her a quick glance before turning to the documents. He typed quickly, "Please, 1 minute." Simone waited patiently, accustomed to the occasional delays that came with large transactions. But as the minutes ticked by, she noticed Greg whispering to his colleague, a supervisor named Mark, who glanced at Simone, then at the computer, then back at Simone. The two men exchanged a few more words before Mark approached the counter, his demeanor formal. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we're going to need to verify some information before we can process this request," Mark said, his tone polite but distant. "It's just a routine security measure." Simone nodded, understanding the need for caution with large sums. "Yes, of course. What do you require of me?" Mark hesitated, then asked for additional identification, business documents, and even a phone call to her company's main office. Simone complied with each request, providing everything they asked for, but she couldn't help noticing the way the staff seemed to be watching her, some with curiosity, others with thinly veiled skepticism. She overheard snippets of conversation. "Is she really the CEO? I've never seen her before. Maybe we should give the manager a call." The process dragged on, and Simone's patience began to wear thin. She had meetings to attend, calls to make, and she was unaccustomed to being treated as anything less than a value client. She kept her cool, determined not to let her frustration show. Mark came back nearly an hour later with an apologetic but firm expression. "I'm sorry, Dr. Carter, but we're unable to process your withdrawal at this time. There are some irregularities with the account that we need to resolve before we can release any funds." Simone's eyes narrowed slightly. "Irregularities? My account are in perfect order. I'd like to speak with the branch manager, please." Mark hesitated, then nodded, disappearing into the back office. Simone stood at the counter, aware of the glances from other clients and staff. She felt a familiar mix of irritation and resolve. She had faced obstacles before, and she knew how to handle them. What she didn't know was that this morning's inconvenience was about to become a turning point. Not just for her, but for the entire branch. Simone stood at the counter, her posture composed, but her mind racing with questions. She had always prided herself on her ability to remain calm under pressure, a skill honed through years of boardroom negotiations and high-stakes decisions. She felt a growing sense of unease, however, as the minutes passed and the branch manager did not show up. The lobby, once a blur of activity, now seemed to slow around her. Clients glanced up from their phones and paperwork, sensing the tension in the air. The tellers whispered among themselves, casting furtive looks in her direction. Simone noticed that it had been nearly 40 minutes since she had arrived when she checked her watch. She considered calling her attorney or her company's CFO, but decided to wait a few more minutes, determined to resolve the matter herself. Finally, the glass door to the manager's office swung open, and a tall man in a tailored suit strode out, his expression a practiced blend of authority and concern. "Good morning, I'm Mr. Whitman, the branch manager. I understand there's been some difficulty with your transaction," he said, extending a hand. Simone shook it firmly, introducing herself and explaining the situation in clear, measured tones. She talked about her business, her history with the bank, and how urgent her request was. Mr. Whitman listened, nodding occasionally, but Simone could tell he was only half engaged. He first glanced at her documents, then at her, and finally at Greg's computer screen. "I see," he said, his tone shifting subtly. "Well, Dr. Carter, we have certain protocols for large withdrawals, especially when the request is unexpected. I hope you understand. It's for your own security." Simone's patience was wearing thin, but she kept her voice steady. "I appreciate your concern for security, Mr. Whitman, but I provided every form of identification you've requested. My accounts are in good standing, and I have urgent business to attend to. I'd like to know exactly what the issue is." Mr. Whitman hesitated, then leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "To be candid, Dr. Carter, we have to be vigilant about unusual activity. We don't often see withdrawals of this size from this branch, and, well, we have to be sure everything is legitimate." Simone's eyes narrowed. "Are you suggesting that my request is not legitimate?" Mr. With an increasingly defensive tone, Whitman reversed course. "Not at all, but you must understand, we have to protect our clients and the bank. I'm sure you can appreciate that." Simone exhaled deeply as her irritation mounted. "Mr. Whitman, I am the CEO of Carter Innovations. I have been a sterling national customer for more than a decade. I have made similar transactions before, and I have never encountered this level of scrutiny. I anticipate receiving the same level of professionalism and respect as any other customer." The manager stiffened, clearly amused at being challenged so directly. "I promise you, Dr. Carter, all of our customers are treated equally, but I must insist on following protocol. If you'd like, you can schedule an appointment for another day, or we can process your request once we've completed our internal review." Simone's jaw clenched. She felt the weight of unspoken assumptions, the sting of being doubted in a place where she should have been welcomed, and the lobby's eyes on her. She deliberated over her options before making a decision. "Mr. Whitman, I'd like you to call the regional director. Now, I will document each stage of this procedure and remain here until this issue is resolved. If my request is not honored, I will be contacting my legal team and the media. I trust you understand the seriousness of the situation." The manager's face paled slightly, but he nodded, sensing that he had underestimated his client. He retreated to his office, phone in hand, leaving Simone standing at the counter, her resolve hardening. She pulled out her phone, began taking notes, and sent a quick message to her executive assistant, summarizing the events so far. Her assistant responded in a matter of minutes, promising to bring additional paperwork to the branch and notify the company's legal counsel if necessary. After she thanked her, Simone looked up to see a number of clients approaching her and quietly supporting her. "I've had trouble here, too," one woman whispered. "They always make it harder than it needs to be." Another nodded. "You're not alone. Good for you for standing up for yourself." Simone grinned as she acknowledged the support. She realized that her experience was not unique, and that her decision to stand her ground might help others as well. As she waited for the manager to return, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. This was no longer just about a withdrawal. It was about setting a standard for how clients should be treated, regardless of their appearance or background. She straightened her shoulders, prepared for whatever came next, and she was determined to use this difficult situation as a chance for change. As Simone waited, the atmosphere in the bank lobby shifted palpably. Staff and customers' initial curiosity and skepticism had given way to a quiet anticipation. Simone's calm but assertive stance, her willingness to document every detail, and her insistence on involving the regional director had not gone unnoticed. A few clients lingered nearby, pretending to read brochures or check their phones, but really listening in while others exchanged knowing glances, as if silently rooting for her. The tellers behind the counter grew more subdued, their earlier whispers replaced by nervous glances toward the manager's office. Simone, meanwhile, continued to take notes on her phone, recording times, names, and the sequence of events. Adversity and the subtle ways in which those in positions of authority could use bureaucracy as a shield were familiar to her. She had established her business from the ground up, navigating boardrooms and investor meetings where she was frequently the sole black executive or the only woman. She knew how to command a room, and she knew the power of documentation and accountability. After nearly 20 minutes, Mr. Whitman reemerged. His demeanor noticeably changed. Ms., dressed in a sharp navy suit, came after him. Patel, the regional director, whose presence immediately commanded respect. Ms. Patel extended her hand to Simone while smiling warmly and professionally. Dr. Carter, I sincerely apologize for the delay and any problems you've had. I understand there's been some confusion regarding your account. Simone shook her hand, her own smile polite but cool. Thank you for coming, Ms. Patel. I provided all the necessary documentation, and I'm simply requesting a withdrawal from my business account. I've also documented the events of this morning, including the repeated requests for identification and the refusal to process my transaction. Ms. Patel gave a serious nod as she nodded. I sincerely value your patience. Come into my office and resolve this right away. She turned to Mr. Her tone was firm, Whitman and the tellers included. Please make certain that Dr. Carter's request is dealt with immediately. I'll be reviewing the branch's procedures and client service standards after this meeting. Simone was given coffee and a comfy seat inside the director's office. Ms. Patel reviewed the account details, verified Simone's identity, and within minutes authorized a withdrawal. Everything is in perfect order, Dr. Carter. There was no reason for your request to be denied or delayed, she said, her tone apologetic. I will be carrying out a comprehensive review of practices of this branch, and I assure you that this will not occur again. Simone nodded, her frustration easing as she sensed genuine accountability. Thank you, Ms. Patel. I appreciate your prompt response. I hope this experience can be used as a learning opportunity for your staff. Even if a client has been with the bank for a long time, they shouldn't be treated poorly or with suspicion. Ms. Patel agreed, promising to follow up with a written apology and to invite Simone to speak at an upcoming staff training on client relations and diversity. As Simone left the office, withdrawal slip in hand, she was met with a wave of supportive smiles from clients and even a few staff members. The word had spread quickly. Dr. Carter, the CEO, had stood her ground and been vindicated. Mr. Whitman, now visibly chastened, approached her with a stilted apology. Doctor, I'm sorry for how this was handled. Carter, it was never our intention to cause you distress. Simone accepted the apology with grace, but made it clear that she expected better in the future. Thank you, Mr. Whitman. I hope you'll remember that every client deserves respect, regardless of how they look or what assumptions you might make. I look forward to seeing improvements in your branch. As Simone exited the bank, she was greeted by her assistant, who had arrived with a folder of additional documents just in case. Everything okay? Her assistant asked. Simone smiled, holding up the withdrawal slip. Better than okay. We've set a new standard here today. As they walked to the car, Simone reflected on the morning's events. She knew that her actions had not only secured her own rights, but had also sent a message to everyone who witnessed the exchange. The bank staff would think twice before making assumptions about a client, and the clients themselves had seen that it was possible to demand and receive fair treatment. Simone's phone buzzed with a message from Ms. Patel, confirming the follow-up meeting and thanking her again for her patience and professionalism. Simone replied with a brief note of thanks, then turned her attention to the rest of her day, her resolve stronger than ever. She knew that real change was often slow, but every stand taken, every moment of accountability, moved the world a little closer to justice and respect for all. In the days that followed Simone's experience at Sterling National Bank, there was a change that went far beyond the downtown branch's marble floors and glass walls. True to her word, Ms. Patel, the regional director, initiated a comprehensive review of the branch's customer service protocols and diversity training. She invited Simone to a roundtable discussion with senior management to not only share her experience, but also provide advice on how the bank could better serve all of its customers, regardless of their appearance or background. Simone accepted, seeing the invitation as an opportunity to turn a frustrating ordeal into a catalyst for progress. The roundtable was held in the bank's executive conference room, a space usually reserved for high-level strategy meetings. Around the table sat the bank's top decision-makers, the COO, the head of client relations, the director of compliance, and several branch managers from across the city. Simone spoke candidly about her experience, describing not just the inconvenience of being denied a routine transaction, but the deeper impact of being doubted and scrutinized in a place where she should have been welcomed. She explained how such moments, while seemingly small, could erode trust and loyalty, not just for one client but for entire communities. The executives listened intently, some taking notes, others nodding in agreement. The COO thanked her for her courage and honesty after she finished, acknowledging that the bank had not met its own standards. He stated, "We can't change what happened, but we can ensure that it never happens again." Sterling National Bank launched a new initiative called Client First, Always, in the weeks that followed. The program included mandatory training for all staff on unconscious bias, cultural competency, and the importance of treating every client with dignity and respect. The bank also established a client advisory council, inviting Simone and other community leaders to provide ongoing feedback and help shape future policies. The changes were not just cosmetic. They were embedded into the bank's culture, with regular check-ins, anonymous surveys, and clear accountability for managers and staff. Simone's story was shared in internal newsletters and at company-wide meetings, not as a tale of embarrassment, but as a turning point, a reminder that even the most respected institutions must be vigilant against complacency and bias. The experience served as a powerful illustration for Simone of how advocacy can emerge from adversity. She was invited to speak at industry conferences, sharing her story with other business leaders and encouraging them to examine their own practices. She wrote an op-ed for a national business magazine, urging companies to see diversity and inclusion not as boxes to be checked, but as an essential element of excellence and innovation. Her company, Carter Innovations, saw a surge in interest from clients and partners who admired her leadership and resilience. Internally, Simone used the experience to reinforce her own company's values, launching a mentorship program for young professionals from underrepresented backgrounds and hosting workshops on equity and belonging. Back at the bank, the changes were tangible. Clients noticed a difference in the way they were greeted, the care with which their needs were addressed, and the genuine interest staff showed in their stories. The branch that had once been the site of Simone's ordeal became known for its warmth and professionalism, attracting new clients and earning praise from the community. Mr. Whitman, the branch manager, underwent additional training and was given the opportunity to mentor new hires, sharing the lessons he had learned about humility and the dangers of assumption. He and Simone developed a cordial, if not friendly, working relationship, occasionally exchanging emails about community events or new initiatives of the bank. The story of Simone's stand at Sterling National became a touchstone for the bank's ongoing journey toward equity and excellence. It was discussed at board meetings, cited in annual reports, and used as a case study in business schools. More importantly, it inspired countless individuals, clients, employees, and leaders alike to speak up when they saw something wrong, to demand better, and to believe that change was possible. Simone herself continued to lead by example, never shying away from difficult conversations, and always seeking to build bridges where others saw only barriers. On the anniversary of that fateful day, the bank hosted a community celebration, inviting clients, staff, and local leaders to reflect on the progress made and the work still to be done. Simone was a guest of honor, and as she stood at the podium, she took in the sight a room full of people from all walks of life who were united in their commitment to treating everyone with dignity and respect. Her voice was steady and clear as she said, "Change doesn't happen overnight. However, each time we make the decision to act in the right way, each time we speak up for ourselves and others, we get closer to the world we want to see. I am pleased with what we have accomplished together, and I am confident that more is to come." The applause that followed was not just for Simone, but for everyone who had chosen to be part of the solution. As the event wound down and guests mingled over coffee and pastries, Simone found herself surrounded by young professionals eager to learn from her example. She advised them, listened to their tales, and urged them to keep pushing for progress in their own areas. She was encouraged by the knowledge that her actions had sparked a movement that would continue to grow, one conversation, one policy, one courageous act at a time, even though she was aware that the journey was far from over. And as she left the bank that afternoon, sunlight streaming through the glass doors, Simone felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had come to the bank that day expecting a simple transaction, but she had left with something far more valuable. The knowledge that one person's resolve could change not just a policy, but a culture, and that true leadership meant never settling for less than dignity and respect for all.